I knew two things the moment I opened my eyes. First, the sheets under me were worth more than my monthly salary. Second, the man staring down at me looked like he wanted to kill me or kiss me, and honestly, I wasn't sure which would be more dangerous. The room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat stumbling. All glass walls, cold marble, New York skyline spread out like a stained glass cathedral of capitalism. And standing beside the bed was him, Darius Hale, the youngest, most untouchable CEO on the East Coast. A man whose last interview ended with half of Wall Street calling him a genius and the other half calling him a god. And somehow I was in the body of the guy who had tried to destroy him. A name surfaced from the back of my mind like a dead fish floating up. Evan Mercer, corporate snake, office scandal magnate. The man who had betrayed Darius so spectacularly the tabloids still had dedicated tags for the drama. But I wasn't Evan. My name was Adrian Park, a small-time barista from Queens whose biggest life achievement had been paying rent on time for 3 consecutive months. And yet, when I lifted my hand, the one staring back at me was undeniably Evan's. Long fingers, a small scar across the knuckle, pale from too many nights of scheming instead of sleeping. Before I could breathe, Darius spoke. "So you're finally awake," he said, voice low enough to vibrate through the bed frame. "Good. We have unfinished business." Unfinished business. Perfect. Exactly what a man in my situation needed. I wasn't even in the right body, and apparently this body came with a lifetime subscription to hell. I swallowed, but Evan's throat wasn't mine, so the sound felt wrong. "What happened?" I asked carefully, testing the voice that wasn't mine either. Darius narrowed his eyes, studying me like a problem he didn't trust but also didn't plan to let out of his sight. "You fell," he said simply. "Fell." That explained nothing. Off a building? Out of grace? Into someone else's damn soul? But he wasn't giving more, so I kept quiet, trying to pull myself together. The air between us hummed with a tension that didn't belong to me but belonged very much to whatever history Evan had with this man. And I could feel it settling under my skin, heavy, electric, dangerous. Darius took a step closer. The expensive cologne hit me first, dark cedarwood and something like storm rain on asphalt. If confidence had a scent, it would be Darius Hale. "Are you in pain?" he asked, but his voice held no softness. It was a clinical question, like he was checking whether his favorite enemy was still functional. "A little," I lied, because what was I supposed to say? "Sorry, I'm not Evan. I somehow woke up inside the body of the man who tormented you. Want to grab coffee and talk about identity death?" Instead, I forced myself to sit up. His eyes followed the movement with an intensity that could have melted steel. "You should take it slow," he said. I blinked. That almost sounded caring. But then his jaw tightened. "I can't have you collapsing again. Not before we finish this." "Finish what? What the hell did Evan drag me into?" He stared at me a moment longer, the kind of stare that made heat crawl up my neck. If this was Evan's normal morning, no wonder the man had stress wrinkles. Then he pulled away. "Get dressed," he ordered. "We're going to my office." I froze. "What? Why?" Darius turned back, expression unreadable. "Because you're not leaving my side until I get the truth out of you." My stomach dropped. "About what?" "About why you tried to ruin me," he said. "And why, after everything you did, you suddenly look like you don't even recognize me." His voice sharpened on the last part. Powerful men weren't supposed to sound hurt. Yet somehow the pain was there, quiet, tightly controlled, but real enough to sting. I didn't. The denial slipped out before I could stop it. His eyes locked on mine. "Didn't what?" "Didn't betray you. Didn't scheme against you. Didn't even know you until 5 minutes ago." I swallowed those truths. No sane person would believe soul-swapping explanations at 8 in the morning. So I said nothing. Darius watched me in silence, his expression hardening again. Then he left the bedroom, his footsteps echoing on marble. When the door clicked shut behind him, I finally let myself breathe. I was trapped. Inside a stranger's body. Inside a nightmare of corporate betrayal. Inside the gravitational pull of a man whose presence felt like standing too close to a live wire. I dragged myself out of bed and caught my reflection in the mirror. Evan's face stared back, sharp jawline, high cheekbones, a beauty that felt like it belonged on magazine covers, not in my life. You really screwed up, I whispered to the reflection, and for a moment, I could swear Evan smirked back. Or maybe that was just my panic. I pulled on the clothes, laid out charcoal gray slacks, a navy shirt, the kind of wardrobe that screamed wealth management trauma. The fabric felt wrong against my skin, like wearing someone else's sins, which I guess I was. When I stepped out into the hallway, Darius was waiting. He tapped his watch. You're slow. I nearly died, I muttered. He stopped. For the first time, he looked genuinely startled. You remember the fall then? He asked quietly. My mind raced. I had no idea what happened to Evan, but admitting that would get me locked in a psych ward. A little, I said. His eyes softened. Just barely. A flicker, like a flame choking in the wind. Let's go, he said. We rode the elevator down in silence. Or rather, I was silent. Darius radiated something sharp and tense beside me, as if trying to decide whether he wanted to interrogate me or shield me from every possible danger. When the elevator opened into the private garage, a sleek black car waited. The driver looked like he could kill a man with a shoelace. Darius gestured for me to get in. Once the door closed, he spoke. Your stunt last week cost me $30 million in losses. I choked. 30 million? His gaze flicked to me. So you really don't remember? My pulse kicked. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He leaned back, his stare slicing straight through me. Evan never reacted to money, but you look like someone who can't imagine owing more than a few $100. I froze. He was too perceptive, too sharp, too dangerous. I looked away, but he continued. You made enemies, Evan. More than you realized. Evan, not Adrian. I wondered how long before Darius noticed the difference. What enemies? I asked. His jaw tightened. People who want you dead. My blood ran cold. He looked at me again, that strange blend of anger and worry clouding his expression. That's why you're staying with me, he said. Until I know the truth. You don't trust me, I said. No, he replied. But I'm not letting anyone else get their hands on you. The words hit harder than they should, because behind the steel in his voice, there was something else. Something unspoken. Something that felt like grief wrapped in barbed wire. Before I could ask, he added quietly, I should hate you. God knows I tried. Tried. Past tense. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. But the terrible thing is, I never stopped caring about you. Even after everything. The world tilted. My breath caught. Caring. For Evan. But Evan wasn't here anymore. And yet that look in Darius's eyes, raw, bruised, unbearably human, was directed at me. Darius, I began. Don't, he said softly. Not unless you mean it. The car plunged into Manhattan traffic. Streetlights streaked across the windows like falling stars. And I sat there, wearing a stranger's skin, holding a stranger's past, caught in the gravity of a man who loved the wrong person. A man who didn't know the truth. I wasn't Evan. I wasn't the man he hated. I wasn't the man he cared for. I was just Adrian Park. And somehow, impossibly, I was falling into something dangerous and devastating. Because Darius Hale looked at me like I was someone he'd lost and was terrified to lose again. And I had no idea how to survive that. The tower housing Hale Industries pierced the sky like a shard of ambition. The building was all reflective glass and intimidating angles, the kind of place that made ordinary people check their bank accounts for emotional support. Darius led the way inside, his stride long and confident. His presence changed the air. People straightened, whispered, stepped aside as if the floor itself was warning them to move. He didn't look back to see if I followed. He didn't have to. His gravity pulled me forward. We entered a private elevator. He pressed the button for the top floor. As the doors slid shut, he finally spoke. You should know, he said, that the board wants your head. Great, I muttered. Love that for me. His lips quirked. Barely. Still sarcastic, he said. Was Evan sarcastic? No, he replied, the faintest amusement warming his voice. He was cruel. There's a difference. I swallowed. So I'd already screwed up by not being awful enough. The elevator dinged. We stepped into his office, which looked like a Forbes photographer had cried tears of joy designing it. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a horizon of steel and clouds, and a desk big enough to land a helicopter on. Sit, he ordered. I sat. He walked behind the desk, crossing his arms, studying me with a gaze that stripped me down to my atoms. Who are you? He asked. My heart stalled. I'm Evan, I said carefully. No, he said. You're not. My blood turned to ice. He stepped closer. Evan never looked at me like that. Like what? Like I scare you. His eyes softened, voice dropping. Like you're trying to figure out how to breathe around me. I could barely talk. Maybe almost dying changed me. His eyes flickered, shadowed. Maybe, he said. Or maybe I'm losing my mind. He touched my chin. Gentle. Too gentle. My breath caught. Tell me one thing, he whispered. And be honest. I nodded. Do you regret what you did to me? The world narrowed to his hand on me, his breath ghosting my skin, his eyes searching for a truth I didn't have the right to give. Yes, I said. His chest rose sharply. He wasn't expecting that. And maybe it wasn't Evan's answer. But it was mine. Darius exhaled shakily, his hand dropping away as if burned. He turned from me, walking to the window. You're different, he said. I don't know why. I don't know how. But you're not the same man who betrayed me. I stayed silent. He continued, voice low, haunted. When you fell from that stairwell last week, when you hit the marble floor, I thought you were dead. He swallowed. And I hated how much that terrified me. My heart twisted. This man had loved Evan despite everything. And now he was tangled with someone who wasn't Evan at all. Darius, I said softly. He turned. Slowly. His eyes weren't cold anymore. They were broken. Bare. Human. I'm giving you one chance, he said. One chance to start over. But if you betray me again. He stepped closer, his voice a whisper of thunder. I won't survive it this time. The words hit me like a blow. Not a threat. A confession. Darius Hale, the man who built an empire, the man who could buy a senator and never notice the expense, was looking at me like I was the one thing he couldn't rebuild if lost. And I didn't know how to carry that weight. The door suddenly burst open. A woman in a crimson suit stormed in, heels striking the floor with rage sharpened to a blade. Darius, she snapped. Tell me you're not seriously bringing that man back into this company after what he did. Her glare speared me instantly. And you, she hissed. You have some nerve showing your face here. I blinked. Do I know you? Her eyes widened. Darius stiffened. And I knew with a sinking dread that I had just made a catastrophic mistake. Her stare turned razor-sharp. Darius didn't move, but the tension in the room snapped tight enough to choke on. You don't know me? She repeated, voice dripping disbelief and fury. Wow, amazing. You almost tanked the entire company, nearly got Darius indicted, ruined 3 partnerships, and now you're acting like we've never met. She took a step toward me, eyes blazing. Guess hitting your head knocked out the parts of your brain responsible for guilt. Darius stepped between us, one hand lifting slightly protective, instinctive. Mara, he said calmly. Enough. No, not enough. She pointed at me. He can't waltz in here and pretend nothing happened. I held up my hands. Look, you what? She snapped. You're sorry? You forgot? You want forgiveness? Because none of those things are happening. Mara, Darius repeated, voice firmer. She halted, nostrils flaring, then crossed her arms sharply. Fine, but don't expect me to babysit him. I'm not cleaning up his mess again. Again? How much destruction had Evan caused? She turned to Darius. The partners are here for the 10:30 briefing. They're already skeptical about renewing after the leak. If they see him, they won't. Darius cut in. I'm handling it. Mara stared at him a long, searching moment. Her voice softened just a fraction. "You're too forgiving," she whispered. "Especially with him." Darius's jaw tightened. "Leave us." Mara shot me one last scorching glare before storming out, the door slamming behind her. The room fell into heavy silence. I exhaled shakily. "She hates me." "Not you," Darius said quietly. "Evan." Same thing I wanted to say. But to him, the distinction mattered more and more with every passing second. He walked toward me again, slower this time, as if approaching a frightened animal. His voice gentled. "Don't talk to Mara again until I say so. She's loyal, but she has every reason to despise you." "Can't blame her," I muttered. He paused. "No, you can't." The truth stung even though it wasn't about me. He gestured to the leather couch by the window. "Sit. We need to talk." I obeyed, mostly because my legs felt like wet noodles. He took the chair opposite me, elbows on his knees, his gaze pinning me with surgical precision. "You don't remember most of what happened, do you?" I hesitated. "Some things are blurry." "A concussion can do that," he said. "Or trauma." I swallowed. "Do you think I'm lying?" He leaned back, eyes narrowing. "Evan? Absolutely. You?" He exhaled. "I don't know yet." His doubt wrapped around me like a vice. "Tell me what you remember." I scrambled for anything that sounded plausible. "I remember falling," I said. "True enough. And being in the hospital. Pain. Confusion. Voices. Yours." His expression flickered. "Mine. I think you were angry," I said. "And worried." His jaw clenched like he was holding back every emotion he'd buried for years. "I was," he said. He didn't elaborate. Didn't have to. "What happened between us?" I asked carefully. He went still. So still the room felt like it stopped breathing. "That's a long story," he said finally. "I have time." "No," he murmured, gaze softening. "You really don't." He stood suddenly, walking toward the window. His reflection hovered against the glass tall, controlled, hurting. "Evan was my right hand," Darius said quietly. "Brilliant, ruthless, effective. He could dismantle a merger in an hour but couldn't keep a plant alive for 10 minutes. I stayed silent. I trusted him." His voice trembled on the word. "More than anyone. More than I should have." "What changed?" He gave a short, humorless laugh. "He sold information to my competitor. Critical information. And when I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He said he did it because I was getting too comfortable. Because a man with my position needed to know what betrayal felt like." I flinched. Even as someone who wasn't Evan, the words burned. "He said trusting me would make me weak," Darius continued, each syllable jagged. "That caring about anyone was a liability." I whispered, "Did you care about him?" Darius turned. The honesty in his eyes nearly knocked the breath out of me. "Yes." A single word. Whole and devastating. I didn't know how long we stared at each other. Seconds. Lifetimes. Then he said softer. "And that's what made his betrayal hurt more than losing 30 million. I swallowed hard. "I'm sorry." "You already said that." "No," I said. "I'm sorry for you." Something unguarded flashed through his expression before he masked it again. "This version of you," he said slowly, "is so different it's unnerving." I opened my mouth, but he lifted a hand. "Don't explain. Just." He exhaled. "I need your help, Adrian." I froze. He blinked. "What? What did you call me?" I whispered. His brow furrowed. "Adrian. That's your middle name. You never let people use it. Middle name, right?" But hearing my real namey true name from him nearly made my heart stop. He continued without noticing the shock on my face. "I can't let the board think you're unstable. And I can't let our enemies know you're vulnerable. They'd strike instantly. They already tried once." "Is that what happened to Evan?" I asked. He hesitated. "I don't know. Security footage showed nothing. No attacker. No struggle. Just you losing your balance and falling down the stairwell." His voice darkened. "It felt wrong. Too convenient. I think someone wanted you gone." wanted Evan gone. And now I was wearing the target painted on him. Darius moved closer, sitting beside me on the couch. Not too close, but close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from him. "I need to protect you," he said. "That's your job as CEO?" I joked weakly. "No," he said. "That's something else." The air thickened, charged. Then he looked down. "There's a meeting in 20 minutes. I need to tell the board you're acting under my supervision and that you're still an asset to the company. But if you say one wrong thing, I won't," I said quickly. "You might. Not intentionally. But you're not. The same." He didn't say it cruelly, just honestly. "So," he continued, "I need you to follow my lead. Don't speak unless I signal you. Don't contradict me. And don't repeat anything from before the fall." "Because I don't remember it," I whispered. "Because it could get you killed," he corrected. A chill crawled through me. He rose and offered his hand. "Come on, let's get this over with." I took his hand before thinking. Warm, strong, dangerous in a way that didn't scare me but absolutely should have. He didn't let go until we reached the conference room. Inside, a dozen executives turned as one. Their stares sliced like knives. Whispers rippled like poison. "That's him. He has the nerve to show his face? Unbelievable. Darius must be losing it." Darius stood tall, shoulders squared, radiating authority that silenced them instantly. "Let's begin," he said. We sat. I kept my eyes on Darius, ignoring the glares stabbing into my skull. The meeting started with quarterly losses, possible recovery strategies, projections. Numbers flew like daggers. I kept my expression neutral, hands folded, spine straight, trying to look like a man who wasn't internally screaming. Then a board member named Caldwell leaned forward. "Before we continue," he said coldly, "I need to address the problem in the room. Problem, not person." He stared straight at me. "Why is he here?" Darius spoke before I could shrink into dust. "Because he's still part of this company. After sabotaging it?" Caldwell barked. "He didn't sabotage it alone," Darius said, calm and certain. "Someone helped orchestrate the leak. Someone who hasn't been identified." Murmurs broke out. Caldwell sneered. "So now he's the victim?" "No," Darius's eyes glinted. "He's the key." I blinked. "He?" Darius continued, voice smooth as steel. "There are internal enemies working against us. Evan has information he hasn't shared yet." I nearly choked. Information. I had nothing except general confusion and a deep desire to not die before lunch. Caldwell turned to me. "Well?" he demanded. "Do you have anything to say?" Every eye in the room pinned me. I opened my mouth, panic swirling, when Darius touched my knee under the table. Gentle, grounding, guiding. "Not at this time," I said quietly. The touch lingered a fraction longer than necessary before he withdrew his hand. I felt the loss instantly. The meeting dragged on. Pressure built. Caldwell kept prodding. Mara glared daggers. I stayed silent, letting Darius deflect, dominate, destroy every attempt to bait me. When the conference finally ended, I felt like I'd run a marathon while being hunted. As the executives filed out, Caldwell shot me a look of pure contempt. "You won't last," he hissed. "People like you never do." Before I could respond, Darius stepped between us again, his favorite habit, apparently. "That's enough," he growled. Caldwell smirked and left. When we were alone, Darius turned to me. "You did well," he said. "I didn't say anything." "Exactly," he said. "That's why it went well." I breathed out a shaky laugh. He softened. "Are you all right?" "Yes," I said automatically. He stepped closer. "Adrian," he said quietly. Heat shot through me. "You don't have to lie to me." My chest tightened. Why did my name sound like something sacred when he said it? "I'm overwhelmed," I admitted, "and confused, and terrified." He nodded. "That's normal." "I don't think anything about this is normal," I whispered. He studied me a long moment. Then he reached up, so slowly, and brushed a stray lock of hair from my forehead. "You're safe here," he said. My breath stuttered. Even if you don't believe it yet. For a moment, the world shrank to the space between us. His hand lingered just longer than a CEO should touch his employee. His eyes softened with something he probably didn't want to name. Then a knock shattered the moment. The door opened. Mara stood there, expression unreadable. "Darius," she said. "We have a problem." He straightened instantly. "What now?" She held up a tablet. "There's a new threat," she said. "And it's directly tied to Evan. Me. Or rather, the body I now lived in." Darius's face hardened. "Show me." Mara turned the screen toward us. The headline made my stomach plummet. A leaked photo. A shadowy figure. A message scrawled beneath. "Finish what we started. Evan Mercer must die." My blood went cold. Darius swore under his breath. Mara looked at him. "What do we do?" Darius looked at me. The decision was instant. Violent. Absolute. "We protect him," he said. "At all costs." He placed a hand on my shoulder, firm and grounding. "You're coming home with me," he said. "Now." My heart lurched. "Home? With him?" Before I could ask anything, he added, voice low and fierce, "They want you dead." His grip tightened. "But they'll have to go through me first." The drive to his penthouse blurred around me. Rain streaked across the windows, city lights bleeding into silver and gold. Darius didn't speak, jaw tight, hands steady on the wheel, but tense enough that I could sense the storm brewing inside him. When we finally arrived, the elevator doors slid open to a vast, open space of glass and warm light. His home felt nothing like the ruthless CEO image he projected. Felt lived in, quiet, human. He locked the door behind us. "You're safe now," he said, but the way he hovered near me, the way his eyes kept darting to the windows, the way his breath hitched every time a car honked outside, he didn't believe that. "Not yet." I stepped farther into the living room. "You don't have to protect me like this." "Yes," he said instantly, voice gravel low. "I do." He walked toward me until we were a breath apart. "You don't understand," he murmured. "Losing you once almost broke me. I won't risk it again." My heart hammered. "But I'm not him." "You're here," he said. "That's enough." For the first time, it felt like he wasn't talking to Evan at all. He was talking to me. Silence coated the room in something fragile and warm. Then he took my wrist gently, guiding me to the sofa. "Sit," he said softly. "You're trembling." I hadn't even noticed. He made T-hands steady, movements practiced, like he'd done it for Evan 1,000 times. Yet he placed mine in front of me with a tenderness that didn't feel recycled. "Drink." I did. The heat seeped into my bones. He sat across from me, elbows on his knees, eyes searching my face. "You're different," he whispered. "Everything about you is different. The way you look at me, the way you talk, the way you don't push. Is that bad?" "No," he said almost too quickly. "It terrifies me." I waited. "Because I don't know who you are now," he said. "But I want to." My breath caught. "I want to understand you," he continued. "Protect you. Keep you close." His voice gentled, strained. Closer than I ever should. The truth hung between us, vulnerable and raw. I leaned forward, heart thrashing. "Darius." But before I could say anything more, a loud bang shattered the moment. Not from outside. From inside the penthouse. Darius reacted instantly. He moved with frightening speed, pulling me behind him and reaching under a drawer for a sleek black firearm. "Stay behind me," he whispered. Fear clawed into my ribs. My mind raced footsteps, shadows, the unknown threat looming like a blade against the back of my neck. Then a figure stumbled into the hallway. Mara. Soaked, wild-eyed, breathing hard. "Someone followed you," she gasped. "They're in the building." Everything inside me froze. Darius grabbed my hand, yanking me toward a reinforced inner room, something between a panic room and a security hub. Mara sealed the door behind us. Alarms flickered on the screen. Heat signatures. Movement. 3 of them. "They knew your route," Mara said, voice Shikinga first. "They knew when you'd be home." Someone's feeding them inside information. Caldwell, Darius hissed. Not just him. She pointed at the feed. This is military precision. Whoever's after Evan. They're professionals. Professionals. Assassins. Here. Now. My knees weakened. Darius grabbed my face gently, forcing my eyes to stay on him. Adrian, he said low and fierce. Listen to me. I won't let them touch you. Not again. Not ever. Something in me cracked open. Because he meant it. Every syllable. The surveillance feed flashed. 3 masked figures breached the main hallway. Mara cursed. We can't stay here. We're not running, Darius said. We're ending this. He pulled me behind him again, but I caught his arm. I'm slowing you down. You're the reason I'm fighting, he snapped. My heart twisted. Mara shoved 2 batons into Darius's hands and tossed me a compact baton of my own. I'm not leaving him alone, she said. We finish it tonight. The 3 of us burst from the panic room as the intruders charged toward the living area. Chaos exploded, shouts, clashing metal, shattering glass. Mara was precise and vicious. Darius moved like a man fueled by rage and fear intertwined. I fought clumsily, but adrenaline made me faster than I'd ever been in my old life. One attacker lunged at me. Before I could react, Darius slammed into him, sending the man crashing into a wall. Don't touch him, Darius growled, voice animalistic. Another attacker pinned Mara. A third tried to tackle me from behind. Pain shot through my shoulder, but I twisted, swinging the baton wildly. It struck his temple. The man staggered. Darius finished him with a brutal kick. Minutes felt like hours. By the time the final attacker fell, the penthouse looked like a war zone. Breathing hard, Darius grabbed my shoulders. Are you hurt? He demanded. I'm okay, I panted. You? He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled me into him and held me. Not like a CEO, not like a protector, but like a man who had almost lost someone he couldn't bear to lose. His breath trembled against my hair. I thought I'd lose you, he whispered. Again. You didn't. He pulled back just enough to look at me. Those eyes, midnight, shaken, burning, held no secrets now. I don't care who you were, he said. I care who you are now. I care about you. My pulse stuttered. And I'm done pretending I don't. Before I could speak, his hand cupped my jaw with devastating gentleness. Tell me to stop, he whispered. Couldn't. I leaned into him instead. He kissed me, soft at first as if afraid I'd vanish. Then deeper, fiercer. A promise and a confession tangled together. His hands sank into my hair. Mine clutched his shirt. The world, the danger, the confusion, the past fell away. When we finally pulled apart, foreheads touching, breath unsteady, the city lights flickered below like 1,000 witnesses. What now? I whispered. Now? He said softly. We rebuild. Together. And the people trying to kill me? He brushed his thumb over my cheek, tender and certain. They won't come near you again. How can you be so sure? His smile was small, broken, and beautiful. Because I'm not letting you leave my side, he said. Not in this life. And not in the next. I laughed through my tears. You sound like you're confessing. I am, he whispered. Silence wrapped around us, warm, fragile, hopeful. For the first time since waking in this unfamiliar body, I didn't feel like I was drowning. For the first time, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be. In his arms. In his home. In his future. Outside, the rain finally stopped. Darius pulled me close again, pressing a soft kiss to my temple. Adrian, he murmured, holding me like something precious. You're safe. And for the first time, I believed him. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.